Hey everybody, what is going on? Good late afternoon, and we are down to the very back end, and we're clearly just trying to scrape for something to talk about in these last few days before we actually get to the draft, and that's when you start busting out the special teamers. And I don't mean the coverage guys. That's actually a little bit more interesting. No, we are talking about kickers for this video. And then later tonight, I'll do another video for punter. Hard to get motivated for this, I know, but while we're here, we may as well clean it up here. There are a handful of kickers and punters that have clearly kind of distanced themselves as the standout players in this class. So let's spend a little bit of time here. We've got a few kickers to get through. We'll do punters later. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. More on them later. And yeah, we're just going to go quick here. Now, kicker, I will say this, Jason Myers is in the last year of his contract. Jason Myers is going to be a free agent next offseason. But it doesn't really matter because you wouldn't take a kicker to be a backup and groom behind another kicker. That's not really something that happens in the NFL. You do that for quarterbacks. You do that for cornerbacks. You do that for edge rushers. You don't do that for kicker. Nevertheless, let's go through these kickers here, starting with Trey Smack, currently the #1 kicker in this class, according to the aggregate. Florida Gator, 23 when the season starts. More or less average size for a kicker, 188 pounds, 6'1", arms, roughly typical, not much to say there. Big boards, ESPN has him almost in the draftable collection, but nobody actually has him getting drafted on the aggregate. He is inside the top 300, but this is going to be one of those years where I don't necessarily believe any kicker or punter is guaranteed to be drafted. They'll be drafted according to a team just happens to have a pick, and they need a kicker or punter, and the kicker or punter's there, so they're like, well, why not? So Trey Smack, over the last couple years, he hasn't kicked a lot. His volume's been a little bit low. He's got 43 field goal attempts over the last 2 years combined, and he's made 36 of them. He's been good from long range. He's been 8 out of 10 on 50+, and he's made every extra point except for one, but didn't try a lot of extra points last year, and extra points don't really matter for the NFL anymore because you never kick from that close. But he is very accurate from distance. He's one of these kickers that can really knock it in from 50+, which is what you need these days. He's shown that he can punt a little bit. So if you need an emergency punter, Trey Smack is your guy. That's not something that every kicker offers. He's got fundamentals that are very solid. He can repeat them from snap to snap. He rarely loses form. And he's a pretty good cover player as well when he needs to be as a kicker. He can come up and cover pretty well. Now, again, the volume is not as high as you would like, only 43 attempts over the last 2 seasons combined. 3 of his 4 misses last year were in one game, so he did kind of spiral a little bit. And he's never made a kick over 56 yards, I don't think. So, therefore, you don't know if he can be one of those cannon leg kickers. So, I wish he kicked more in college, but he's accurate from distance. He is possibly the best kicker of the year. The accuracy from long distance, even if it's not from downtown, is very notable. So Trey Smack deserves his credit as possibly the best kicker in this class, even if he may not be. Do you like sports? If you do, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players' projections and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. I've had a great time using Prize Picks so far. It makes this daily fantasy thing so easy and fun, and it even makes watching the games way more exciting. And with the cool social feeds feature, you can share lineups with your friends and even follow partners to tail or fade their picks. Obviously, we're in the NFL offseason right now, but we've got basketball, baseball, hockey, all kinds of other stuff, so don't be afraid to test things out in whatever sport clicks with you. You can even pick multiple sports in the same lineup and sweat everything at once. And don't forget about team picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So, download Prize Picks, America's #1 sports app. And don't forget, code HMA, that is HMA, gives you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. Okay, next kicker is going to be Dominic Zvada of Michigan, another big school kicker here, 22 when the season starts, tall but lean. So, as much as we care about things like that with a kicker, he's atypically built, and he's got very long arms for a kicker. He's almost got like guard arms, almost 32 inches, not bad. Big boards, nobody has him getting drafted. The aggregate puts him at 362. So, again, this is just going to be a circumstance thing. He's coming off a pretty bad year, 17 to 25, so not really what you're looking for. He made all his extra points, but again, that doesn't matter that much. However, the previous year, he made every field goal except for one, and he went 7 of 7 on 50 plus. So there is reason to believe that Zvada is a good kicker. He just wasn't necessarily a good kicker last year. So it's just about your tolerance to get past 2025. The long kick stuff is legit. He's got a big leg. He was nearly perfect in 2024. This is going to be one of those guys who can hit from 60 plus in theory. I don't know if he will. He wasn't like a big kick machine in college, but in theory, he can be one of those 60 plus dudes. And if you look at his career, he did hit some big kicks. He did hit some clutch kicks to win games. Now, 2025 was all about his mid-range game. His mid-range game was so ugly by the end of the year, he was aiming kicks. And I think a lot of his kicks are from the right hash mark. So we know what his weakness is, and he hasn't worked his way past it yet, but he's starting to do the thing where he aims kicks. And he does sometimes not get enough lift on the ball, and the ball can get blocked because it's left a little too close to the ground. So we do have some issues here. He may have the highest potential of any draft kicker this year because he has the big leg. He might. But those middle rangers, he's got to prove he can make them. Obviously, he can make them, but he needs to keep making them. Sometimes that's more important than even making the long distance ones. Will Ferrin of BYU is another kicker. This one did not get a combine invite. Couldn't find his age, but we know he's 6'3" and 175 pounds on PFF, which is kind of weird, but again, he's a kicker. I don't know if we care. In the top 400 on the big boards, had one good season, one not so good season. He's another guy that did not have a great 2025, but he's 8 for 11 on 50 plus, and he's made every extra point. So there is some good stuff here. The high rate of success from 50 plus is notable. He hasn't missed an extra point in 2 years, like I said. The 2024 season in general is kind of what's carrying the day here. 24-27, 4 of 5 from 50 plus. That's got to excite you a little bit if you're trying to find a kicker in this draft. His volume is a little bit higher than the previous two guys, so he's got a little bit more on tape than the others. And he's made clutch kicks at BYU. He's made game winners. He's made game tires. He's made late kicks, overtime, that kind of stuff. For whatever reason, in 2025, things just got away from him a little bit. He did not have the same level of success. He doesn't get a lot of kickoff hang time, and that's kind of an issue here because kickoffs matter more now. He's not really a great kickoff guy, and that's got to get better. He leans over the ball sometimes when he's running up to it, so there are some mechanical issues with how he approaches the ball. So there are some problems there. He's got to become a little bit more reliable with his mechanics. So the kickoff issues are the main thing that's holding him back here, but he's still a great kicker. He could get drafted in the right scenario. He should be at least a very good place kicker. And I don't like him as much as the first two guys, but I do understand that as a kicker, he is on their level more or less. All right, so one more guy, and that'll wrap up our look at kickers this year. Drew Stevens of Iowa is going to wrap us up here. He is 22 when the season starts. Got bigger than average size. He's 213. He's not far off from linebacker size. Shortish arms, big hands. No big board has him getting drafted. Aggregate puts him inside the top 450 barely. Another kicker that did not have a great 2025. It's a kind of a pattern here. Missed 6 kicks. Was very good from 50 plus, though. Again, kind of weird. The previous year, he was better. 4 out of 7 from 50 plus, and he made every kick inside of 50. And he's made every extra point except for one. This is a guy who could be one of those 60 plus yard kickers. He could make from like 60 plus routinely, I think. He's got a cannon leg. He can also get the ball up high, although he needs to get more consistent with that. And he's got the size to be a threat in cover units. So, in that capacity, he should be very good. But the mechanics are inconsistent. He did miss from mid-range a little too much in 2025. Missed 4 mid-range kicks. And he does have like 5 career kicks blocked. So he's got to get the ball up higher. And he can do it. I don't doubt that, but it hasn't fully manifested yet. So the mechanical concerns are a problem. But if he can iron that out, he could be as good as any of them. So just depends. He's got to figure out how to really replicate the mechanics every single time he goes back to kick, or the consistency is just not going to allow him to be an NFL kicker. Okay, so that'll do it for the look at kickers this year. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. And yeah, we'll do punters later, although there may be no more position we care about less than punter. I know. All right, go Hawks.